Hello and happy Wednesday. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Kathy. Welcome to this week's episode of GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection. I am excited because this week we have another fabulous doctor that we're bringing on. And this time we're bringing on Dr. Megan Afshar Martin. So, hey, Dr. Megan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I'm so excited to talk to you because you got a lot of big things going on in life right now.
Yeah,
you do. And I want to say this before we even start. I remember you from being a student. And watching you make that transition where there's certain students who you just know they understand what they're in for, right? They know what they signed up for. And there's certain students where you just know, like, you are going to be successful. And I knew that about you as a student, but then watching you transition into a doctor and into a wife and into a mom, it's just been so rewarding to watch. And there's so much pride in watching another woman go out and make her way and do such great things that I'm thrilled to talk to you today because I think everybody needs to know about all of the cool things going on in your life right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Welcome.
Yeah. I was talking about kind of starting out. I think as a student, I had that passion and fire, and I had so many of you as mentors of mine, and just thought, I used to say ignorantly, but now I'm 9 years out, and it really was providential. I don't know what it was, but I had that assurance that I'm going to be able to do it. Look at all these other people who I love and respect. They could do it. I could do it too. And it's still really hard. The beginning is really, really hard. It's a lot of hard work, and which I'm not shy of hard work, but it's just a lot. And it was people like Tim Warner, Tim Langley, who just continuously, I mean, those two guys especially, Dan too spent a lot of time like pouring into me, but those two guys especially, just on a very regular basis, would reach out and they're like, you are doing it. You're doing a great job. When you look around and you're like, I feel like I'm going to be living in my car next month because, what if I don't get enough new patients, or I moved to a brand new city where I knew nobody, by myself. I had no friends, no family here, no spouse, no anything, and just did it kind of on my own. So I just am so appreciative at this point now. I was then. I don't think I realized how impactful all of you guys were, but so appreciative that I had such a strong basis and foundation of mentors through DE, through the GCC. I mean, I would come to like your board meetings and I just wanted to be around you guys because you were successful, and know what it was that you've done and how I could glean from that into my own practice. And so 9 years in now is very, very different than it was year one, month one. And I'm just so grateful for you guys.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. One of the things I always say is that we all get to create our own version of success, right? One person's definition does not have to be ours. And it's really detrimental when we try to adopt somebody else's definition of success. So if we look and we say, oh, that person's definition, I have to strive for that. Well, if that's not congruent for you, you'll always be feeling like you're doing the wrong thing, or like you're never doing enough, or it's not good enough. And to have that community to lean back on, I think, is so essential. And I'm glad you started off talking about that, because that's one of the things that GCC has always tried to provide. It's one of the things that DE absolutely has always tried to provide. And it's one of the things that I think separates chiropractors from a lot of other professions, is that we really lean on each other, pour into each other, reach out to each other, and we try to lift each other up through the tough times. And thank you for mentioning that, because Tim Langley has, he's sorely missed, because he was one of those people that was just the cheerleader and the support team for everybody else without needing credit for doing it. He just did it all the time for anyone who needed it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I love that man. From the bottom of my heart, I would not be where I'm at, or the chiropractor that I am. And I mean, he has that impact on so many people's lives, right? How many people come and say, I would have closed up shop, or I would have stopped. He's so amazing. And he has left such a legacy among all the chiropractors whose lives that he's changed. So I love him
So true.
tremendously. But I really like what you said about everybody's definition of success is different. So I have an upper cervical foundation, upper cervical practice. So I started off knee chest with toggle. We do some instrument adjusting as well, but we're very upper cervical here. Like every single adult gets, I have a CBCT machine. So we do 3D imaging on people. We do thermal scans on every single person. They rest. If they get their upper cervical adjusted, they rest and they lay down for 15 to 20 minutes and we post check them. And my number of success, I think, looks different than some other people who have a different style and technique because they don't need to spend the same amount of time with people. And so in my head, I worked in, I did my internship for a little bit in Brian Lieberman's office, and they were saying 800 a week. And it's like, well, that is what success is. I have to be seeing 800 a week. And just realizing, man, I don't know if I'm able to do like more than 250 or 300 by myself because I'm doing so many more steps with these people. They don't start off face down on the table. The C's face them down, and they get adjusted real quick and I can move to the next person before anything. Like we're doing a lot of extra steps with these people, re-scanning them. And there have been amazing offices that we've checked out. I'll take my staff sometimes to other offices to see how people are doing things and things that maybe we could implement here. And they have people maybe doing the scanning for them, pre and post scanning, or people, just things, other people, support staff helping to make the process faster. And so that's beautiful to see, but it's really, I like what you said because my idea of what I have to look like coming from DE maybe has shifted a little bit actually in practice. And we also work with a lot of pregnant women and babies, and we do a very extensive like cranial work on babies and a lot of Webster stuff with the pregnant women. And it just sometimes with those people takes a little bit longer. Give me the 9-year-old who knows how to get on the table quickly and I can adjust them really quickly and they get off. That I could see 1,000 of those a week. Right. But have the person that has a little bit more going on. And but it's been really a beautiful transition to kind of see what my style with my practice and my technique can look like and what that looks like for me.
And it doesn't have to be the number, right? And that's one of those things that, having done big numbers and then deciding that that's not what I want to do anymore either, there's that sense of, is it okay to not be doing those numbers? Or do you talk about that this is where I want to be right now? And for me, it was a value system. Like what did I want to spend my time doing? Yeah. And I wanted to commit my time, energy, and effort to making sure my kids have the best childhood. And in doing that, COVID was a blessing for me because the world shut down. I had the time and the freedom to say, whatever my kids need, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to build the practice around their schedules.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a big one is defining your own success. I
had my first son, Jack, almost exactly 2 years ago, end of May, he'll be 2. Mm-hmm. And I left at 39 weeks. I probably should have left earlier because I was just tired and pregnant. And I'm a tiny, tiny person who grows giant. I mean, giant for me. Jack was 8.5 pounds. I put on 50 pounds. I just was like, I'm so big and pregnant right now. And adjusting towards the end got really difficult. I was having a lot of plantar fasciitis and myalgia parasitica, and because my little tiny body cannot handle as well
an extra 50 pounds.
And so this time, and then I was out for 9 weeks, and this time I'm going out 2 weeks early. I'm planning on taking like another 9 or 10 weeks, where I grew up in chiropractic hearing about these moms where it's like, I'm in labor and I'm still adjusting, like early labor. And then I have my baby, and then I'm back. I may have heard your story. That may have been
Guilty.
and then back like 2 days later. And I wanted that. I wanted to be that so badly. And then as I was growing this life inside of me, kind of stepped back and thought, well, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want my connection with this baby to look like? What do I want my postpartum healing to look like? And so I kind of did the opposite, where I had a home birth with Jack. I'm doing a home birth again with this baby. I'm pregnant. I said that. I'm due early June. But I didn't leave my bed for the first week after I had Jack. I mean, everybody came, and even that shedding of myself to allow, I'm always the giver, the doer. And so to allow people to come in and cook meals for me and clean my house and do my laundry, and just as I just sat in bed and snuggled my baby, and that's all I did. And in coming back to work slowly, as opposed to just fully jumping back in, Jack came to work with me for the first 15 months that he was around alive. That was really challenging. Oh my gosh, I don't know how some of you guys have done just bringing your kids to work with you. Jack is so mommy centric. He just wants me to hold him all the time, especially if he sees I'm giving somebody else attention. So that was really, really challenging. But we did it because I didn't want my 6-week-old baby going to daycare so that I could come back to work. So, I brought him here and we made it work. It was great. And I'm planning on doing that with this baby, like bringing the baby into the office and maybe getting them a little bit more used to other people holding them. Jack was very, like I said, mommy centric, but, I'm just excited. I'm excited for this season of my life.
I'm so glad to hear your story of what you did, because there's doctors that are watching this right now, or watching the replay, or there's students that are watching this that are trying to figure out, how do I navigate that path when the time comes? And this comes up in the business class that I teach on campus all the time. And it comes up with a lot of students. Do I take off from the practice? Do I not start a practice until after I've had a family? Do I have to hire a covering doc? Do I just have to bring in an associate? How do I navigate that? And the reality is, everybody's story is different, and everybody's going to do something different, because our mindsets are different, our practices are different, our finances are different. But tell us a little bit of, how did you set your practice up to have somebody that could take care of your patients as well as you, while you got to not be worried about the practice and completely be focused on baby Jack?
Yeah. So, and this is a little bit different because I was in practice for 2 years before I even met my husband. We didn't have a child until we had been married for 3.5 years. So I was 5.5 years. No, maybe that's not true. 6. Sorry, take that back. I was 7 years in practice before I had Jack.
Okay.
So I was just in a different place. I hired an associate, and I'm such a type A person as well. So I hired an associate before I even tried getting pregnant, because I wanted somebody there in case I wasn't feeling well, or I had morning sickness, or I had to slow down, and thankfully I had an amazing support staff of naturopaths and midwives, and I felt phenomenal. I feel phenomenal through this pregnancy as well, but just felt phenomenal through both of my pregnancies. Eating helped a lot, eating a lot of fat and protein, which is probably why I gained 50 pounds. And this pregnancy, I'm like 40 pounds in so far. But I just, eat a lot of like really nutrient dense food through pregnancy. But I hired an associate before I even got pregnant, so that if there was any hiccup in my health, she was there. But also so that people had a year of getting used to her. Right. So that when I left, it wasn't a cover doc who you've never met coming in. And she knew exactly we practiced and trained on scanning. And these are the things that you say. And this is how you adjust. And this is exactly what we're doing. So she became a mini me in practice. And I have that again, where I have another associate who, she has been in the office now for 2 years. And she's a mini me. And we practice the same way. so that when I leave, there really is not this big upheaval in the office of like what's going on. But I had my first baby 7 years into practice, and I'm having my second 9 years. So it's a little different than if you're 1 year into practice and you can't necessarily set that up. But I'm a planner. That's exactly how we planned for it to go, so that there wouldn't be any hiccups.
Yeah. And that's a big part of it too, is obviously you can't plan for everything. I've had interns who have found out that they're pregnant while they're here. It wasn't part of their plan. I've had interns that graduated and found out like the day after graduation that they were pregnant, or found out, right shortly before graduation. So life happens.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you can lay out the plans or lay it out by design, it happens in a better way. I know for me, when my dad was building my building, we decided that the back office would be soundproofed, because I knew someday I'd be back there with babies, nursing, taking a nap, put a shower back there, so that I have my own little private,
amazing,
like escape area to go to with the babies. And that's exactly what I did. But everybody's going to do something different. And hearing other people's stories almost normalizes that whatever you choose to do. For the docs watching, if you choose to do something similar to what Dr. Megan did, if you choose to do something similar to what I did, if you choose to do something completely different, choose what honors you and what makes you feel like this is the time period and this is how I want to enjoy it. And don't get yourself stuck in a situation where you say, I'm doing something because somebody else said, and now that's what I have to do. Kind of like success. Don't follow somebody else's definition of success. You'll always be chasing it.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful too. I tell pregnant moms all the time, like, I did a home birth, I did all of these things. That doesn't mean that has to be your story. You have to do what you're comfortable with. If you or your husband are not comfortable with home birth, I would never encourage you to do that, because birth is such an innate process that if your body doesn't feel safe and comfortable in your mind, and things aren't going to go well. I told Rando, I would rather, this is maybe not an appropriate thing to say, but I'd rather go into the back of our house, like in the wooded area, and die than you take me to the hospital when I'm in labor. Like, I just don't want to go to the hospital. Hospitals to me are bad. I'm not saying everybody should feel that's probably like, I need some internal healing from that or something. But if somebody feels that way about being at home, like, I would be so uncomfortable. I would never encourage them to do that. And it's the same thing with practice. If you want to be back in your practice 2 days after you have your baby, and that's what you feel so passionate about, who cares what I said and what I just did? That was what was my path for me and what I felt like I was supposed to do.
I love it. I love it. And I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see all the exciting things about to happen. I can't wait to see, obviously, new baby pictures. But thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I hope that we get to see you again soon. I know your schedule is going to be busy, obviously, for the next few months, but I hope we'll get to see you in person and give you a great big hug.
I'll definitely be a DE with a little baby and a toddler. So Lord help, if anybody wants to come help.
Hold the baby. I'll be there.
As soon as
I'm done with my class, I'll be there.
Perfect.
Yep. The Atlanta one, I'm always there as soon as I finish up. So I'll be there. And I'm just going to walk in like this. Just go
Perfect.
straight.
And I'll just hand you my baby. I love it.
I love that. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Okay. And for everybody watching, don't forget, we've got a couple great events coming up. GCC loves to do events where we can just basically, get us together, get chiropractors together, bring your spouse, bring your team, bring your family. You know what? Because we want to raise our families in this paradigm. So we have a couple of really fun things coming up. We've got our cornhole tournament coming up in June. We have Cinco de Cairo coming up in 2 weeks. And then we've got our golf tournament coming up this fall. Plus, we have all of our continuing ed events. You can get all this information and more on our website at georgiachiropractic.org. It's coming across the bottom of your screen right now. But I just want to remind you, if you're planning on coming to any one of our Saturday Night Live philosophy events, if you're planning on coming to the golf tournament, that will sell out. If you're planning on coming to cornhole, or even to Cinco de Cairo coming up on Saturday, May 6th, you've got to register. Go to the website, georgiachiropractic.org, get registered on there. This way we can make sure we have enough food, we have enough drinks, we have enough for everybody. We've got 2 great speakers coming up for Cinco de Cairo and more. But we've got student Nick Sclafani, and we've got, of course, our president, Dr. Dan, too, and some other surprises in line for you. So check out our website for more details on all of our events. And thank you, Dr. Megan.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection. Have a great week.
Bye.